Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the OMG It's Derek podcast. Once again, I am joined by the myth, the man, the legend, the red-headed goddess. I guess it wouldn't be goddess, it would be God, Mr. Kodeations. Welcome, Mr. Kodeations. How's it going, brother?
That is the beautiful intro. I absolutely love it. 100%. I'm gonna need to copyright that and take that, so then that way anybody that introduces me in the future has to live up to that expectation.
Awesome. Just don't start using it for your YouTube intros because people might they might be sad with the intro that you normally say being gone, because I do
That's
like
true.
your intro that you have normally.
Oh.
So guys, what we are talking about today is like a downer topic. So welcome to the downer topic.
But you're going up
The,
at the same time.
well,
You went down
because
and up.
you know it's a fucking
It's a
roller
wave.
coaster.
It's a wave.
It's a wave, a roller coaster. You know, I'm trying to get the viewers here to continue listening to the podcast.
All right, let's go.
But so let me hold on. Okay, so what you're gonna hear today, guys, is like this is gonna be a downer. It's the dark side of content creation. That's what we're getting into today.
Dark side
but
of
for real,
creation.
yeah, we're going to talk about the dark side of content creation. And all we mean by that is, you know, we're going to talk about like some of the struggles that people face as content creators, some of the struggles we face as content creators. If you're thinking about becoming a content creator, some of the struggles you're going to face and run into that hopefully then we can maybe offer some advice, offer some practical advice, some whatever advice, some, you know, motivation to keep going for it, or maybe you get done and you're like, fuck, this is not what I thought and not what I wanted. And you're like, peace out. Either way, that's what we're hoping to provide for you here today with the topic of the dark side of content creation. So I say, let's go ahead and kick it straight off. What do you think, Mr. Kodeations?
Yep, I'm totally game. Let's do it, man. I've been preparing for this topic, you know, mentally for a little over a year now that I've been on YouTube.
And what he means is his brain's been dark to him the entire time he's been on YouTube.
Right, exactly. Sure, exactly. Yep. Nothing
No,
shy
but
there.
for real. So yeah, so again, that's what we want to talk about today. I think it's not something that's probably talked about enough in content creation, not something that is discussed a lot by a lot of content creators, because the truth is it's a lot of personal shit. It's a lot of dealing with your own self. It's a lot of dealing with problems of others. It's a lot of dealing with the public and dealing with other people and how unpleasant they can be and just how ruthless they can be. It's a lot of just that kind of stuff that we don't like to focus our attention on and don't like to pay attention to. And for the most part, as content creators, we try to ignore it, to be completely honest. At least I know I do a lot. You know, so it's not something that most content creators ever want to actually talk about. But when Kodeations presented it to me as a topic, I thought naturally, like, of course, that's something that a lot of people I'm sure struggle with that already are content creators. And it's a lot of things that people that might be wanting to start streaming, creating YouTube videos, creating a podcast, whatever it is, don't realize what they're getting into. So how do you want to kick this off, Kodeations? What do you think? Where do we start with this topic? It's such a big, dark side.
It's the dark side. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think starting off, the first thing I would like to say, just for anybody that's currently listening out there in the audience, again, we're not trying to turn anybody off of, you know, content creation. You know, at the end of the day, me and Derek, both of us, man, I speak for you as well. I'm sure, Derek, we absolutely enjoy this, man. I mean, it's a passion of ours.
Listen, Kodeations, don't speak for me. If you want my God honest truth, let's start this thing off right. If anybody here is thinking about becoming a content creator and they look at me and they say, should I do it? My response would be no. But the reason that you're asking probably means that you're built a little bit different than most people, which means it's probably something that you have to do whether you like it or not. So my actual answer would be, if you can fix whatever's going on up here and you don't need to be a content creator, you should probably do that. So I don't know if that's it, but I don't know if I'd actually recommend it to most people, to be completely honest. Like, just jumping in, I don't know that I would ever tell anybody that they should become a content creator. Reason I say this is because I have a 9-year-old daughter getting ready to turn 10 that wants to make videos. And for the last 2 years that she has been expressing that, been wanting to do it, I've been doing everything in my power to try to convince her not to. And I say that, and And again, it sounds funny, and you can probably back me up on this, but I say that with also being like, how much I love doing it. Like,
Right.
how much I enjoy streaming to people on the internet on Twitch, how much I enjoy making YouTube videos, but I know a lot of that dark side that comes with it, because it's not just becoming a content creator, it's also most likely for most people, especially like in 2021, it's what people are also really saying is not just I want to create content, but I want to create content focused on myself, for myself, not for it's not like we have a bunch of people like, oh, I want to go create content for this company over here. I want to go create content for this person over here. It's a lot of people wanting to create content for their own self and grow that into a personal brand, which then in essence is becoming an entrepreneur, because you are then starting a business. I mean, it's what you
Right.
are doing, and that comes with a lot of fucking shit. Like, a normal 40-hour a week job is way fucking easier than being an entrepreneur.
Oh, and
100%.
I would agree. Yeah, I
So
would
I'm
back
just
up that
starting off
claim.
with, I'm coming out with the big guns right here to
Hey, that's
start,
all
dude.
right.
Like,
That's all
I don't
right
know that
though.
I
But that's
would
all right.
recommend it.
But that's all right. But that's all right.
I
I
might
mean,
try to turn people away from it.
yeah, and you know what I mean, and I understand that, and I can respect that. I mean, because you are right. I mean, I mean, if I mean, you already kind of dove into it a little bit, but I mean, like when it comes to content creation, it's way more than the 15-minute or the 7-minute video that you see on the platform. You know what I mean? Like the content creation side of it goes way deeper. You know what I mean? Than just recording something, editing it really fast, throwing it onto the internet. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, sure, those videos exist, you know what I mean? But when we're talking content creation, we're talking full blown, part-time slash full-time job, you know what I mean? On top of your regular full-time job, on top of your family, on top of your, real life outside of everything. I mean, and then on top of all of that, you know what I mean? Your personal, like hobbies and goals and passions and everything else outside of anybody else in the world, content creation takes a toll on all of that. You know what I mean? And I think 100%, I don't think, if I had to put a number on it, I would say I don't think 9.5 out of 10 people, do you know what I mean, really understand what it means to be a content creator in general. I really don't. I mean, I think that like you said, I think they see a person making videos, they see that personality, do you mean, and then they see like, oh, that's that person's life. Do you mean, that they just turn on a camera, whenever they see fit, and they just roll with it. And it's like, that's not how it works. And so, I mean, again, that's kind of leading us into some of those dark things. And I don't know, man. I mean, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. To turn people on or away from content creation, I definitely think it would be easier to convince people not to turn or not to jump into content creation without having to convince them. Just by explaining to them your everyday schedule, your everyday life. And I've already been, a person of this, I mean, I've got a buddy of mine that when I started making content creation, he wanted, to originally start making content creation. Obviously, his goals were a little bit different than mine, but, he wanted to start making content as well. And he never picked it up, never did it, never tried it, just kept on doing his normal day stuff. And then when I started making content and I started to really grow, with my channel and everything, he started to see that, and then was still me and him communicate. He's a really good friend of mine in real life. And, he basically, to me, was like, dude, that's freaking sweet. You're popping off. I thought about doing it. What are your thoughts? Blah, blah, blah. And then now, like, okay, if anybody that's listening, I've been doing YouTube for over a year. April 24th was my official 1-year date. So we're a little about a month over a year. But what I'm saying is now talking to him like something like last week, I haven't talked to him in 6 months. I mean, I'm talking about it all. And we went from, prior to me doing content, playing games, every other night, together, constantly talking through social media, downloading the new games, buying new games, playing stuff together, to having that connection to then I haven't talked to this guy in 6 months, because I've been so driven, and so busy with all my extra stuff that I just haven't had time to sit down and play, a random game or to catch up with him, and so we talked literally the other day, and I explained to him a little bit of, how what my normal day goes, how my normal week goes, how my normal month goes, with content creation and everything else. And he walked away. His response to me when I say walk away, meaning he walked away from the idea of ever starting content creation. That's what I mean. He didn't walk away from me. He walked away in the sense of, he was just saying like, yeah, I don't think that's whatever I want, and I'm just like, and you're not wrong to be that way. At the end of the day, it consists of a lot. You have to truly, in my opinion, man, you have to truly love it and have a passion for it, and the drive to continue pushing through tough and hard times with content creation to continue. I feel like that's why so many people get burnt out. It's burnout is the thing. It's an absolute thing when it comes to content creators.
Yeah, I don't. Burnout's a whole nother topic. I'm not a big believer in burnout, but I believe burnout is normally when you're doing something that you don't actually want to do. But anyways, whole nother topic.
Yep.
But what I will say is 100%, man. Same boat. Like, I don't think, if you actually want to grow on Twitch, on YouTube, like, can you just randomly throw up videos? Could some of them maybe do well? Could they? Yes. But to actively keep growing and grow to the point where it becomes a full-time career takes persistence, takes consistency. It takes constantly putting out work and constantly improving so that you keep getting those videos that keep bringing in new people, that keep, you have one or two, you get like that viral video. Nowadays, maybe back in the day that would jumpstart you to a career in content creation. But even today, it's ruthless out there, man, because again, everybody's trying to do it. I know people that have blown up on TikTok. In fact, I interviewed a guy here on the podcast, Nike Finesse that I did, and he, is closing on 5 million followers on Twitch and has been unable to get them to convert over to any other social media platform thus far, hardly at all.
Right.
And he's had viral video after viral video. And again, he's making a living, but I'm just trying to paint the picture that it's even a lot harder today. Even those viral videos doesn't mean that you're going to have continued success in the field, because there's always somebody else putting out content as well.
Oh yeah.
Whereas before, people followed that creator more and more personally. If you had a blow up video, all right, this is kind of okay. I'm kind of going off the rails here, but my point is, it's just getting more difficult to begin with. So you are constantly having to put out new, better content, growing in your content, all of that stuff. I forgot my point though.
No worries. I think I know where you were going.
My point was, so because you're doing that, if you're working any kind of normal job, like we both did do, I don't now, when you're starting out, the amount of work you have to put in, the amount of time, even like, one of the, YouTube and Twitch streaming are like the two biggest forms of content creation that most people want to do. Maybe TikTok's starting to join up there. But like something like streaming, you're talking at least 3-4 nights a week, couple hours at a time. You're easily talking, just in the streaming part of it, the actual sitting down playing a video game for an audience, a part-time job, just in those hours.
Yep.
That's not including like editing clips out, doing anything on social media, trying to network with other creators, anything like that. That's strictly that. So all of that to say that, like, I totally get the whole friend thing, because the truth is, when I decided, I've been doing this now for about 2 years, super focused, actually trying to turn this into a career. And in 2 years, like, same thing, dude. I've had a lot of friends that I just don't talk to anymore, between the normal job, trying to do this, and then my family, my wife and my 2 kids. There is just zero time for anything else. Like, there just is. It's not I'm just working so hard that I don't have time for my friends. It's just that there literally just is no additional time. When you have 40, 50 hours a week in a normal full-time job, you have a family, that you're, trying to spend time with your kids, your wife, and you
Yep.
have content creation that you're doing, that it's literally, I mean, you got time for a little bit of sleep and that's it. You
And
don't have time for friends.
sometimes I was gonna say sometimes, yeah, sometimes you don't have even time for a whole lot of, like, at all, a whole lot of sleep. I mean, there's been a lot of sleepless nights. I'm up until 4 a.m. in the morning, getting up at 6:30 because I promised a video, or I promised this, or something came out and I wanted to hit the mark on this right when it needed to be dropped. And you know what I mean? It's just, I mean, yeah, it's like you said. I mean, there's no other words to say it. It's a full-time job on top of a full-time job. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And
Yeah.
you're expended in all avenues. So yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it does affect, personal relationships. It affects friendships. Unfortunately, you do have those things where you kind of got to, friends that you might have, like you said, talked to every other day, played games with, because even a lot, like, even though there's a lot of people today that want to create content and want to do content, there's still a hell of a lot of people that are just happy going to a 40-hour a week job, coming home
Yep.
and playing video games all evening or whatever. I have friends like that. And so, a lot of times when you start doing this, they just don't get that. They don't understand it or see it, or to them it's like, oh, he's just playing video games or whatever. They don't see all the behind the scenes stuff that you're doing the entire time. They don't
Well, even if
understand
they
why you won't play a certain game anymore, because that it just doesn't fit well with your stream, or people don't like the videos you make of that, or
right. That's what I was
all
just
that
about to
stuff.
say. I was about to say they might, even if they do understand that, I mean, and see all the work, that it takes, they still don't understand why there is no additional time to play a different game or something with them specifically. Yeah. I mean, I've been in that boat too.
Yep, 100%. And outside of that, and again, the one thing is, not everybody, and I know this, people listen to podcasts, not everybody has a family. Not even everybody has a full-time job. There's plenty of younger kids that try to get into content creation, that have a part-time job, that, live with their parents still, or they're just in an apartment by themselves, and, they don't have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of bills. And it might be easier. And honestly, I would say that's your best time to try something like this. If I could go back in time, I definitely would have actually gave it a run sooner, but you don't
Oh, yeah.
know that kind of stuff.
Right.
So if you are young, definitely I would say that that's more of an incentive to give it a try now versus waiting until you have all those additional responsibilities. Because going along with friends, it affects family as well, man.
Yes, sir, it does.
Like, I know, me and my wife, we have gotten in some heated, not as much, nowadays. We've worked through it, but in the beginning, when I decided to really go for this, and then I was going to work full time, then coming home and wanting to work on videos all evening, and she's over here like, hey, I would like to spend some time with my husband. Hey, I would like you to spend some time with our children that you're
Yep.
their parent.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like, but I got to get this video done. I got to get this done. I had to do this. Like, if I'm going to turn this into a career, I got to take it seriously.
Yep.
And that caused a lot of strain early on in my marriage,
Right.
with my wife. So it not only causes a strain on personal relationships, but it also causes a strain on, when I meant friendships, but it also
Yeah.
causes a strain on personal relationships, like with a spouse or something. If you're an older person who's trying to do this while also working a full-time job,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's your experience has been? I mean, has
Yeah.
it been a big thing with you? And I don't mean a big thing like, but you know what I'm saying.
I
Is it
mean,
been an
too.
issue with you and your
Yeah,
wife
I
at
mean,
all?
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, yeah, not in the retrospect of, it's ever gotten to, to a, or like a too serious situation. I mean, but we've definitely, I mean, oh yeah, more often than not, we've had, especially starting out, for the first couple of months, or when you, like you said, you see that little bit of growth. You see that little bit of growth, and then you get hooked. You get addicted. You want to try to keep that growth coming, right? So it's easy to push away, the personal relationships, the friendships, the things that in your mind that you feel are permanent, right? And like, never could be affected. You know what I mean? It's easy to push those aside to then, hone in on, focus on something, AKA content creation, in the topic we're talking about. And so with that being said, yeah, I mean, it's 100% happened to me for numerous times. I mean, I've came home before, she has no clue, ahead of time, what my plan is, in my brain, I've been, I've already, like I said, worked this out, where I'm like, okay, I got to eat, I got to make dinner. I mean, we're going to sit down and eat. I'm going to eat for 30 minutes. Then I'm going to get up from the table, she's going to take care of our son now, you know what I mean? And then, cause he wasn't born when I first started making content creation, but, going to take care of my son or our son. And then I'm going to go ahead, and escape away into the office really quick, pop out, start recording a video or something. Right. And then in my mind, I think, it's going to be a 15-minute, 20-minute, maybe a half-hour thing, to at least get the rough portion of the video done, then I can start working on editing later on. That 30 minutes or that 15 minutes, turns into 45 minutes. It turns into an hour, it turns into an hour and 30 minutes, to get a solid 15 minutes worth of footage, that I want to then use raw footage. And then it runs into, okay, now she's pissed. I mean, she's upset because, like you said, kind of similar with your situation, she wants to spend time with me. She didn't know what my plan was, type of thing. Maybe the communication was off. I don't know. I mean, again, my son is now, 1 year old. And I mean, dude, I have zero time, man. I spend all of my time, as much as I can with him because he's making milestones. I want to see those things, I want to be there to experience those things. And I mean, as far as creating conflict, oh yeah, there's been too many times. I mean, I say I want to do something, we schedule. This is another one that's happened quite often. Is we schedule something, like, let's say, like on a Friday night, we schedule something for Saturday, to leave and go do something, whether it's a park or whatever it is, together as a family. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I know, sounds good. I'll get up tomorrow, I'll record a video, and I'll get this done, blah, blah. And then, like I said, that recording runs over. I mean, time gets pushed back. I mean, I'm trying to get this last few edits in, beforehand, and then next thing you know, we're closing in on time. I haven't taken a shower. I haven't gotten ready, or for whatever it is that we were trying to do. You know what I mean? Then that's when the snowball effect happens, right? Then I'm rushing, then she's feeling that tension. She starts to rush, mishaps start to happen. You know what I mean? Then we're arguing, you know what I mean? Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's inevitable. I think.
Yep. And it does I mean, that's why I said, I think, and even worse, I know there's been times, then because you're working, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever, your time is or whatever, and you get off and then you're working all evening. I know there's times like, we same thing. Like, it's like, all right, well, Saturday's going to be our family day. We're going to do this and this and this. And then I wake up Saturday morning and I'm just dead. I'm
Yep.
just like, I have no desire to go do this. I'm in a foul mood because I no longer want to go do it, because not because I don't want to, but because I'm so exhausted from the week of working, from the moment I, because the truth is, and I think this will kind of take us another way. Like we're saying, it affects friends, affects family, but the truth is, and this is why I said, like, it's not just a content creation mindset. Like, maybe if your dream is like, oh, I just want to make funny memes on the internet, and you are the guy that does that for Wendy's and you get to clap back on people and you love that job, that's probably cool. But most content creators nowadays, like I said, are trying to build a personal brand. And I think that leans more toward entrepreneurship. And the issue is, God, my brain tonight, dude. The issue is, hold on, here it comes. Here it comes. What was the issue? Oh, but the issue is, entrepreneurship is a whole different beast, because I think people that tend to want to lean towards entrepreneurship tend to be a little bit obsessive, maybe, or addicted would be the word. We love it's not just creating the content that we actually love. It's it almost is the work. It is the stats of trying to figure out how to get better, how to get more eyeballs on it, all of that stuff that comes with it. And so, again, so then you wait. I mean, you put so much time and work into it that it can consume you to the point where, like I said, then it's like you try to go out with your family on a Saturday. You don't want to go because all you can think about is, oh, I should be doing this on there. I should be putting in more time on this. And then when you are there, you're not really there. because you're thinking about your analytics. You're thinking about whether this video flipped or flopped. We all got this device in our pockets now. I'm holding up a mobile phone for those listening. So then we're sitting there and our son, I'm using son. I have a son and daughter, but I'm using son because Kodeations and I both have a son. So our son's running around doing something cute that we should be going like, oh, look at my boy. And instead we're going, yeah, yep, babe. Yeah, babe. What? Yep. Hold on one second. Yep,
Good job. Good
I'm
job.
just
Keep
checking
on
this
doing it.
real
Yeah.
quick. Hold on. There's a comment I got to respond to. Somebody commented on the YouTube video. Take a couple seconds, and you're just, you know what I'm saying. You're just not really there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you're either exhausted from, like I said, just working all fucking week long, that you're just mentally drained, or like I said, you're physically just still addicted to the work in a sense. At least I know I can be. And again, I know we're talking dark side, but I do want to preface, like, because these things happen and I've noticed these things, you do tend to course correct a bit. Like I said, you know, I've talked about it before on the podcast. I have timers on my phone for apps. I've done things to combat this stuff. But again, this is more of things we've seen happen in our content creation, because I don't want a bunch of people fucking messaging me being like, you're the worst dad ever. I'm a good fucking dad. Shut the fuck up, you dickhead. I'm just saying it's something that you run into and
Right.
you gotta deal with, and these are
Yep.
issues you run into and gotta deal with. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, you know, so it affects friendships, affects personal relationships. When you do try to spend time with your family, you know, it can take away from that. Or even, I would argue, if you don't have a family, friends, if you
Yep.
do decide to play a game, like, it almost becomes all consuming when you're trying to start your own thing, your own business.
Right.
And again, I use that because, and I know not everybody that creates content is interested in entrepreneurship, but I would argue that if you're not, and you think you're going to do something like Twitch where you're doing personal branding and stuff, again, it might not be for you, because I think that's how intertwined they become when you start doing them. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I would agree 100%. I mean, me and you both are walking examples of that. Do you know what I mean? You know, like when I started making content, I was not making daily videos. I mean, you know what I mean? You know, when I started making content, I was making like a video every 3 days, right? Or 2 days, you know what I mean? And the video was little to no effort. You know what I mean? You know, I was just like turning on the camera, the game was rolling, do you know what I mean? And I was just talking as I'm playing the game, you know, umming and ooming and then, you know, not talking half the video, you know, because I'm playing it, you know what I mean? You know, things like that, you know, and I didn't really care, you know, but then I mean, once I stepped in content creation, you know, and I don't even know what that number would be, you know, the 15th video, right? Like, you know, me making these videos and consuming the content, it's like you said, it's overwhelming. I mean, you know, it's all consuming. You know what I mean? I was instantly sucked in, you know what I mean, you know, to this, to, like you said, it's like a second life. I mean, you know, your brain, you know, is like split in half. You know what I mean? Like, you know, then it's like content creation, half of it all the time, and then it's like the other half is everything else in the world. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, whether it's you personally, whether it's friendships, relationships, marriages, kids, whatever it is, you know, is on the other half, you know what I mean? And you're constantly trying to alleviate content creation so then you can, you know, tend to these other things and really be there. But like you said, it's a massive struggle. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, honestly, you know, to just, like, I really do think it's like if you imagine somebody that is starting a business, like an old brick and mortar, like, they're gonna put their heart and soul into making that thing successful. And that's almost the same attitude you end up having if you get serious about content creation. You know,
Right.
because like you said, there was times when I did content creation in the past and I didn't really, it wasn't like I was trying to turn it into a career. It wasn't, I was just doing it. And I really didn't give a fuck what happened with the content, to be
Right.
honest.
Right.
You know, but if you do get serious about it, you know, we're talking more about turning it into a business, a career. You know, and most of this podcast, that's what we're assuming, is that when we say you're trying to do content creation, is that you're trying to do it full time.
Right.
At least that's the assumption I'm making when I talk about a lot of this stuff. So with
Yep.
that assumption, it very much is like, you know, like you hear the horror stories of when fucking Jeff Bezos started Amazon and he's working on fucking cardboard boxes at the office like till the fucking wee hours of the night. Someone like Elon Musk who has 5 companies and he works 24 fucking 7. Like that is almost what it requires. Not necessarily that it requires it. I mean, there's people that probably have healthy work life balance probably better than I do, that are still successful, but it does pull you in easily somehow. It
Well, I'm going to
does
tell you
get
right now.
you.
I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know. I mean, I could stand corrected, but I don't know any, like, the people you just listed off right there, a couple of them, Elon Musk, and your Bill Gates, and all these big, company names and stuff. Like, I don't know any of them that didn't, that didn't give up all of that stuff to me, and just let their work completely consume them, in order to achieve, the status, or the success, or the billionaire, or whatever you want to call it. Frame. Do you mean, I think that's,
Yeah,
I think that's
I
the
almost
mindset it
think
has to
it's
be in.
the front thing, and you have to weave everything else into it. And a lot of people might think that's wrong in life. They might think like, oh, you got to put family first. You got to, but that's what I'm trying to explain. You got people out there like myself, admittedly, that I don't want to say the most important thing is my family is the most important thing.
Right.
But when I have to allocate my time, there is something inside of me that the majority of that time has to be allocated towards this.
Right.
And again, it's not a content creation thing. I want to clarify that. I think
Right.
it's an entrepreneur. I think it's those type of people who end up becoming entrepreneurs because they can't help but getting lost in the work.
Right.
But again, since we're talking content creation, that's what I'm trying to explain is that some of the things you don't think of. You don't think of you got to have these traits, or at the very least you might not have to have those traits, but you're going up against people in the content creation space that are like a lot of workaholics, like a lot of
Right.
like I guarantee you people like, Markiplier, PewDiePie, and again, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I hope one of them calls me out because that would be cool as fuck. But like I guarantee you, they fucking like they fucking work a shit ton. Like the work is their life,
Oh
and
yeah.
everything else like goes in between it. They have business meetings and things that they got to go to, and shooting dates that they got to go attend, and sometimes that becomes the thing you got to do, and sometimes you got to say like to the family, to the friends, like you got to take the back seat, this I got to do. And again, it's almost like a thing that you can't help, at least from my experience.
Right.
And I
Right.
say this again, not just as content, but I've had my own business. I had an ad agency I did, that was very successful, and it was the same feeling. I had a residential and commercial electrical business, like actual like electrical wires and shit that I did for years, successful as well. And it was the same thing. You get lost in it. Now, sometimes you can lose that passion and move on to another passion, but again, that framework's there. And again, if you don't have it, it doesn't mean you can't be successful. But I almost say it because I do think that's where I say like in the beginning when I made the joke, like, oh, I tell them to leave and run away from it and not to do it, because like that's not a fun thing to live with, admittedly. Like that's not
Right.
it's not fun to be that addicted to something, maybe is the word.
That
I'm not sure on the word
that
here,
consumed. That
but that
consumed.
consumed, it's not always fun.
Right.
It gets to you. It takes a mental toll. And I think that's kind of where I'm heading all this into, is then kind of like, so what has been some of the mental tools that you've found dealing with as being a content creator? What's some of the what does that cause being consumed by this mentally on you?
Right. And for me personally, I think the biggest one would be, um mentally it takes a toll for, well, what do you mean? We kind of answered that question. Like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, dude, I know because of how consumed I get with it, and how important it is because I'm so consumed with it. I know mentally that can be extremely challenging, trying to stay in the right headspace, trying not to beat myself up too much about things, trying not to get depressed if things aren't taking off as fast as I want them to take off,
Oh, okay. That's
or
where the direction you're
trying
going.
to,
Gotcha.
you know, uh, just be in a good headspace, not be so consumed that the downs take me down even in personal life, if that makes sense. Maybe
Right.
I'm not explaining it well enough, but
No, I get what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, and that's, and I would agree. I mean, one of the biggest things for me is I get too consumed with it that I do start to relate, like you said, the downs, or when something doesn't isn't as successful, whether it's a video or a post or whatever, isn't as successful as um my consumption is telling me that it should be. You mean, I can then allow that to carry over into my personal life. I mean, and carry over into my day-to-day, happiness, whether it's me just being happy and putting a smile on, whether that's me actually taking my normal thing of communicating with other people and relationships and stuff, you know what I mean. And then instead now I'm semi depressed, be based on this situation, when in reality that's not affecting my life. You know what I mean, things like that. I think that's probably one of my biggest ones, is for me personally. Anybody that's listening, I'm Kodeations as always. I've been doing content on mobile gaming, but I mean, basically, it's very easy to become consumed, and for me, being consumed is just a matter of putting, like you said, putting first, or putting content creation first. You know what I mean, over personal relationships and other things that are also important in life, that content creation in a sense could or could not be, you know what I mean, put above that. You just see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is because, like you said, people are different, right? You've got workaholics, you know what I mean, out there where, their entire life is set up to be about their job first, and then they work in family and everything else, you know what I mean? Like in the long run, there's people like me and you where we happen to start a family first, and then we started to move into content creation, and then finding out that, now our struggle is, trying to find that perfect balance. And then you've got people out there who do the opposite, where, they have so much time and so many things enveloped in just nothing but family, you know what I mean, that they're trying to struggle to find the time to even make content, you know what I mean, and so I think, again, I think for me, it's the negative sides of being consumed is that I neglect the things in real life that in essence should be more of importance for me personally, is the best
okay.
way I guess that I can put that.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I would agree. In a sense. Uh, I guess I don't quite understand what you mean with the. I mean, because you're right. You're neglecting. You're feeling like you're neglecting certain things, or
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. And
people, like your family. You're saying,
correct,
or
correct,
okay,
correct, correct, correct. And it goes back to kind of like your first example, like maybe you do go to that, place, or, that park or whatever you mean, and your kid is doing, whatever they're doing, right? But like sometimes you're not there. You know what I mean? Like, you're there, but you're
or
not,
how many
but
times?
you're not, but you're there, but you're not mentally there, meaning,
Right,
to
right.
where, you're listening, you're actively participating, but my brain is constantly, you know what I mean, sometimes not taking in what I'm doing. It's more focused on like, okay, my brain is telling me, how can I operate minimum, right here, so then I can still keep the big portion of my brain, you know what I mean, focusing on the content and what I'm going to do as soon as I can get my hands back on, preparing the content.
And you think that's more the where you take the mental toll the most, is just because you're then operating in kind of that mode of always trying to plan what you're going to do when you get back. It kind of pulls you, that in essence becomes what mentally drains you.
Right. Yep. I would
Okay,
say
that
so.
makes
I
sense.
would say so. I think that's my biggest one. I mean, because instead of just taking, a step back, you know what I mean, and realizing that there's a time and place for that, do you know what I mean, and there's a time and place of what I'm currently trying to also do, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to, to mentally separate that sometimes.
So let me and maybe this is, switch directions here a little bit.
Yep.
Let me ask you some questions to see if you've done some of these things. So how
Okay.
many times have you cursed yourself out when you were filming because you kept messing up a part or something? Have
Oh,
you
a
ever done
bazillion
that?
times, bazillion times, dude, a bazillion times, man. Do you know how many times, like, talk about affecting personal relationships? You know how many times I've been recording at 12 a.m. at night, and I can't get this one part done correctly without either messing up or saying the wrong word, or saying a word that doesn't make any sense, and then I'm just cursing, and then as it goes on, I'm just constantly cussing, even louder. And then I've even had my wife come in the freaking office at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 12:30 when she's been sleeping since 9, by my mind you. And she comes in here, opens up the door, and she's like, "Are you serious? I'm trying to sleep and I can hear you yelling, fuck or shit, at the end of every single time you record part of your sentence." I mean, oh yeah, it happens a lot,
Yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, you can, talking again about mental, I guess. I mean, that I think that's the worst part too, is that you're always your worst critic. So I mean, and you can, I don't know that there's anybody that can be as mean to me as I can be to myself.
Right. Oh
And I
yeah.
say that in not that, again, not that, I don't need like you gotta be nice to yourself. Self-love. Codations knows me. I'm all about self-love. But it don't matter how self-love you are. There's still times you just get pissed off that your tongue's getting twisted, that your tongue. I'll give you a real life example right now. Before this podcast, I was telling Codations that it has been a rough couple fucking weeks for the family and I. I've been dealing with several issues that I'm not going to go into on the podcast, but
Right.
just one thing after another. And the entire time that we have been recording this podcast, my brain is over here saying, "You're rambling too much. Your brain's not working good tonight because you're tired. You're exhausted. You shouldn't be doing this." I'm thinking like even Codation says you shouldn't be, you should just, call it. I'm like, maybe he's right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this tonight. This is going to be the worst podcast you've ever recorded. None of it's going to make any sense. It's not going to flow. Just all the things that constantly
Oh yeah.
happen.
Oh yeah.
But again, it makes me chuckle because I just know how many times like I've been sitting here trying to, or even like I said, even just now live, even while I'm talking and making coherent sentences and saying things, and half the time I'm like, okay, I just said that. Now where am I going with this? At the same time, my brain's not having any issues at all, telling me I'm a fucktard that can't record a podcast. And again, I say that in the nicest way. Like, at the end of the day, I just ignore it. But
Right. Oh yeah.
it does that. And that's something you deal with too, that constant pressure of like trying to make it better, wanting it to
Yep.
be better,
Yep.
worrying that it's not better, worrying that it's not good enough.
Yeah, man, your
And that, man, it
subconscious. Listen,
takes a
your subconscious. Listen, your subconscious is never happy. It's like
ever.
it's literally like that boss that you've ever had, no matter what age you are, your work experience. It's like that boss that you just know is like, even if you would have made that man $1 million, you know what I mean, like in one transaction, it still would not be happy. Like that's literally how your subconscious is, man. I don't think I've ever done anything that, like you said, I didn't just at some point get to a point where it's like, oh, whatever, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's ever happened. Like, sure, I might get happy and I might be excited about it, or I might be pumped up about it, but that subconscious is still nitpicking everything that I did. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or like you said, you learn from it, right? So, you watch that content, or you see something you did that at the time you were excited about, you watch it later, boom, guess what? Your subconscious is still there to be like, you said this too many times. You said 5 times. You said this twice. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, it never goes away.
And you almost have to learn to make a working relationship with it, so that you can say like, okay, thanks for pointing that out to me.
Yeah.
I'll work on that the next time. Like, you got to learn how to deal with it. But you're right. I mean, there's always, like, your brain does both. It tells you all the good, like, at least for me, sometimes I make something, I'm like, man, I really like how that turned out. That's awesome. Like, I did a great job. This new technique I've been working on worked well. And then in the same time I'm thinking that, the other side of me is saying like, but over here you could have did that a little bit better, and over here your tongue got twisted and you went blah, 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 instead of fucking saying what you actually wanted to say.
Yep.
Whatever. All right, so here's another question. Okay. How many times, tell me if you've done this one, how many times when I talk about, like, sometimes I have a bunch of shit to do, and the wife and the kids want to do something, how many times have you specifically planned a outing or a task that you knew would allow for you to then be able, like maybe an example is, okay, kids, we'll go to McDonald's to the play area. That's what we're doing. Because then you can sit there on your phone and get some work done while they're playing on a player. And you're like, oh yeah, babe, I'm just, real quick. I'm here. I'm watching the kids playing. I can't fucking fit in those things. I'm just going to sit here, babe. You join them. You're small enough. Get up there, babe. Go on. Come on. Have fun with the kids. What kind of mother are you? Be a good mom and get up there. And, oh, thank God she's gone. YouTube studio, Twitter. Have you ever done that one?
Listen. Every other day when my son takes a bath. No, I mean,
babe, it's perfect bonding time for you guys for you to give them this bath. And
listen. Technically it works both ways, right? Because even when he's in the bath, I only wash him for 60 seconds. You know what I mean? The rest of the time is me sitting there.
Oh, wait, so you were saying you give him the bath? You're like, oh yeah, babe, I'll do the bath.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
He's smelly. I gotta.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there chilling, playing in the tub. You know what I mean? He's playing with his toys and everything, and I'm just like, sitting there scrolling, looking through the content, checking out my stuff, replying to comments, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, I look up, he's like trying to stand up, he's 1 year old, slips in the tub, I catch him, he's crying and pissed off because the water splashed him in the face. Wife comes around the corner. What's going on? Oh, I don't, he was trying to do this and he slipped and fell. He's all right though. I got
it's like you're, and the worst part, it's like you're watching porn on your phone. You're like, Shiva, you're all right, buddy. He's fine.
Yeah,
he's
fine.
Him. He just cries over nothing.
He's just 1 year old. He's just a ditz, you know how it is. No, dude, trust me. Oh yeah, it's happened. Oh yeah, for sure. Not only you also said McDonald's, but you went a completely different direction with the actual playground thing. I was thinking more like it's done the opposite, where I'm the cook, in our relationship. My wife, she played sports all her life. She never really was in the kitchen, didn't really care for cooking. So me, I was the opposite. I didn't play sports. I loved to cook, and I learned a lot as a young adult. But basically, I'm in charge of dinner almost every night. There's a couple of times, where she'll make something, simple like spaghetti or, tacos or something, that she just browns hamburger or whatnot. But for the most part, I make dinner, right? I can't tell you how many times I get home and it's like, dude, all right, look, I just need an extra 30 minutes. To record this other thing, to work on this thumbnail, to do whatever, and what does my brain do? My brain convinces her, hey, let's just not make dinner tonight. Let's just go get some takeout, or let's go. Hey, I'm on my way home.
But then you do, but then you take it a step further and you're like, oh, babe, we haven't had takeout in a while. Let me treat you and let's get some.
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? And then she's all game, she's like, yeah, Buffalo Wild Wings sounds really good right now. And I'm like, doesn't it? Yeah, look, how about this? You order it, you know what I mean? I'll go ahead and head there now. Do you mean sit in the parking lot 20 minutes, you know what I mean? On my phone, waiting, to get the food. I walk in and get the food, make it back home. We eat, in way faster time, than it would to get home and to actually make a meal. The kids playing on the, kids on the ground running around playing, you know what I mean? And me and her sitting on the couch. Guess what? She's looking at TikToks. I'm then on my phone again, consuming content. You know what I mean? It's just literally, yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable, man. I think everybody's done it, dude.
Especially if I think a lot of people consume content, but yeah, especially I think the type of content we're consuming is, like I said, you use it as extra work time is what you end up doing.
Right.
Like I no longer consume, at least personally, I don't really consume social media too much for fun. I more consume it like it's like work. I'm like, okay,
it's work now.
I can make this post. I can do this. I can do that. Which
will
can also, I think, lead to another thing that just makes me is to like, do you ever find yourself just not enjoying social media as much as you used to, even though it's now what you do? Yep. Like you're like, you love the, because again, like I guess I just decided like, fuck it. And now I'm talking about more personal examples and stuff. Cause I think it would be, right. I think it's more fun, but like, so I don't want people to take things the wrong way, but you do, like, I love making content. I love it. I never want to stop. I was having a conversation with somebody in my stream the other night and they were saying like, oh, you really think you want to do this the rest of your life? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yes. I want to stream and play video games. I want to take pictures and make videos. Like, that's what I want to fucking do.
Right.
I'm like, the rest of my life, if I can, be lucky enough to do it the rest of my life. But there is a side of you, even though that's all true, where you're just like, I just don't enjoy the actual what social media is actually used for most people, which is like connecting with people, and that like it becomes, because it becomes your job. It becomes just like any other job, honestly. You
Yep.
just you get tired of it sometimes or whatever. You
Yeah,
just get
well,
tired of that.
it's because it's because it becomes a job. It's no longer content that you're consuming for entertainment. It's the entertainment factor is gone. Didn't mean, and it's more now focused, like you said, on research and work. You know what I mean? And because of that, you lose that entertainment value out of it. I mean, or that personal entertainment value outside of the work element. And it's the same way. Uh, I I don't think that I have ever looked at YouTube, because that's if anybody that's listening, that's my platform for social media. I don't think that I've ever looked at YouTube. I could be wrong, but since I started hardcore making content, I don't think that I use YouTube ever to consume for entertainment purposes. I
Yeah, you
really
just don't
think
use it the way you did before.
correct. I think most of my YouTube, don't get me wrong, I'm more on YouTube than I've ever been on YouTube, but it's now driven, like you said, by research, by work, by if I'm tuning into other people's videos, I'm not there for an entertainment aspect. I'm there to learn from their videos, to listen and find out new techniques. How can I utilize some of their stuff, into my content that I create, to make my content better, or that's what my brain is doing when I'm consuming this additional content. It's no longer focused on this is a funny video, I gotta watch this video because it's hilarious, you know what I mean? And then 2 hours go by and I've consumed how much stuff on funny videos. That's what it used to be.
Right.
Now it's more focused and all on work.
Yep. Yeah, and you start analyzing every single post you come across. You like a post, and then you're sitting there like, well, why did I like this post?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
triggered me to want to hit the like button? Oh, he used the color red. Could that make me want to click? I do like the color red. Like, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's
Do
crazy.
you know what's funny?
You
Do you know
do.
what's funny though? But you subconsciously, speaking on that same thing, you subconsciously do it, like, without even realizing it.
Well, right, yeah, everybody does that. But
I
you start
legitimately.
to,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm saying, like, even as a graphic designer, I mean, like I do it all the time. I mean, I'll get a postcard in the mail. You know what I mean? Like just like a junk, postcard, maybe it's Geico, right? Trying to sell me something, sell me insurance, right? Like, normal people would just look at it and be like, Geico, throw it in the trash can, right? There's so many times, dude, where I've looked at my wife and I'm like, why in the heck did they choose this font? Like, this font doesn't even look like this other font. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a graphic designer, like, to her, she's like, who cares? It's a postcard. It's junk mail. Throw it in the garbage. I'm just me. It's because my, I'm in that work mode. I'm analyzing it. The same thing with all these videos and this content, on any of the social media. I'm looking at it, you know what I mean? And I'm not only am I looking to learn from it, I'm also looking at it and judging it. I'm looking at it, judging it, trying to figure out, like, okay, why did this work? How did this video pop off? How did this get this here? Like you said, is it because of the thumbnail layout? But I thought that looks horrible, you know what I mean? But somehow it's working, you know what I mean? It's no longer fun content anymore.
Exactly. And then, so that's making me think of something else as well. So now
Yep.
I want to go there. So and then the problem is, so like normal jobs, since you talk
Yep.
about graphic design. I don't know why this made my brain go here, but it did.
That's
So
okay. That's okay.
so like
Yep.
you make normal work friends and you guys are all buddy buddy. In content creation, even the friendships you make are a little weird, because you're like a lot of times you make, like, you're playing a game and you're making content around a game, and you make a friend in that game that's making content around that game, and you're competing with each other, but you're friends.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so you look at them and you get, jealous. You get like, maybe their content's doing better than yours.
Yep.
And it's a weird dynamic that you don't run into in a normal job. It's
Right.
at least not, maybe the only other job I can think is like sales. I used to do sales for a while, and you would see it in sales, the same type of thing. It's like people are friends, and there's even this whole and I love it. And it's true, by the way. Again, I know we're talking the dark side, but like, it's like, oh, there's no competition, with all the, it's not about competition with all these people. It's about competition with yourself and becoming a better creator and yada, yada, yada. And that's all true to an extent, but it's also true that you're competing with all these other motherfuckers because there's only so many eyeballs in the world. There's only so many people. There's only so many hours in the world. There's only so much content they can consume.
Yep.
Like, we're at some point, even if they get this thing plugged into our brain and we only see this screen 24/7, there's still only 24/7. Like, there's only 24 hours in a day for people to consume certain content. So at the end of the day, you are competing with everybody else creating content out there, trying to get that attention.
Right. The easiest way.
But then you're also trying to be friends with these people.
Right.
So so the question is, like, do you have that? Do you have any friends
constantly
where, like, you look at their shit and you're like, I'm friends with this person, but I hate their fucking guts because they have gained 5,000 or 500 subscribers this month and I gained 300.
Yep. On 100%, 100%. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, that is the, I don't even know how, like, it's amazing that, I don't know. I don't know if did you write these questions down or are you just coming up with this stuff on top of your head? Cause like, I swear, I'm amazed by like how you're hitting the nail right on the head with some of these questions because you're right. I mean, it's very hard to explain the relationships.
You want the truth or you want me to lie?
The truth.
The truth is my brain was over here saying this podcast is not going well. You're going all over the place. Just start talking about real shit that happens to you.
Well, the truth is yeah, I mean, that the relationship side of it is weird, man. And there's no way to it really like give a good definition. I mean, because you're right in the sense, I understand the whole concept, right? There's, bazillion of people, out there, tuning into YouTube. You mean, that, somebody will find your channel if they like you better than the other content creator, they'll subscribe to you versus him or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you are competitors. And the reason why you're competitors is because, especially if it's two content creators that are covering the same game in my niche, okay, like in mobile gaming, right? I've got a lot of mobile gaming content creator friends, right? That more like acquaintances is kind of what I like to refer to them as. I know who they are. You know what I mean? I can respectively talk back and forth with those people, you know what I mean? And they produce content on the same game. You know what I mean? The downside is just like you pointed out, at the end of the day, if somebody is going to their channel to watch a video that they have dropped and those people are not tuning into my channel, then it's a competitor. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, I understand that that's not the best way or the only way to look at it, but it inevitably, no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, if the eyes are going somewhere else, do you mean, and they're not on yours, then that's the same thing as it in sales. If somebody's buying paper from another paper production, facility, and you sell paper and they're not buying from you, then that's a customer lost, you know what I mean? And that's a competitor gaining a customer. Do you know what I mean? So that's, at the end of the day, whether it's your friend or not,
But in streaming, it's funny because, like I said, all the gurus tell you, like, oh, it's not about, you're not competing with all these other creators.
Yeah.
If you're not making it, it's because of you.
Right.
Not because of anything. I'm not taking nothing from you by being successful.
Right. But I mean, in theory,
and again,
in theory,
it is true.
Right.
Again, I want to like me and you, like, we're, maybe not as much of competitors because you do more, but still, just in the realm of attention, if somebody's giving you attention and not me, like that's what we trade in is people's attention. And like, so even in between, like with me and you, like we're actually, like, that's what's weird about it is we are, like, it would be like the example you use, the two paper, like, here's two print and paper mills, like, think of The Office.
Yep.
And some of the things where they compete, like, but instead the two different offices, the two different, like, the owners meet every day for dinner.
Right.
And they're best friends.
Right.
But they each got a paper business that they're trying to sell the product. Like, that's just weird. But in content creation, it's like So like, I do actually consider you a friend. That is what's weird about it. Like, and I do consider even some of my more that I would classify as more competitors as friends. Like, I play with Pax a lot. He plays the exact same game as me, GTA 5 RP. Like we've been doing role play for about a month and a half now. He plays on the same server as me. He streams at the same times as me. And people come in my streams and I'm still like, hey, check out my friend Pax. And he is my friend. He's also 100% my competitor. And
Yep.
I just think it's funny that part gets like, it's like somehow it's weird to mention that nowadays. Like, oh, there's no competition. Everybody can win. Like, it's just weird. It's one of those things.
Listen, I'll tell you right now. So yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right now, there's a content creator. I won't mention any names just because I do not know what he tunes into or not. And I don't want anything to come back to me. But there's a content creator right now that was actually the motivation for me to start making content, right? And he was really, I mean, he had already been doing it for a couple of years. You know what I mean? His channel was growing, tremendously. He enjoyed the heck out of it. And I even helped him, quite a bit with his content, not as far as like video and stuff, but like graphic design stuff. I mean, because again, I'm a graphic designer. Anybody that's listening, that's what my day job is. So I'm helping him with, logos and thumbnails and designs and everything. And I got roped into it, right? I got sucked into it. I really enjoyed it. He's a really good friend of mine. Like even to this day, we talk at least twice or three times a week. And his channel is far superior as far as growth than mine. However, even to this day, I'm not going to lie, he's a mobile gamer. I'm a mobile gamer. It's inevitable. There's not a lot of mobile games to go around, you know what I mean? And especially if you're interested in the same genre, we inevitably cover some of the same games at a given time. Right. The difference is obviously his channel's a lot bigger than mine. He's got more eyes on his channel versus me. But at the end of the day, I know that we're still friends, but I can't help it. You know what I mean? If I drop a tips and tricks video for a mobile game, he drops a tips and tricks video for a mobile game. If I'm looking at a video of his, do you know what I mean? And it's doing far superior, in views and clicks and everything else compared to mine, I can't help but have that little bit of competitor, or a competitiveness. I mean, mindset, like, yeah, he's my friend. I mean, but at the same time, we're racing the same race. Do you know what I mean? We're in the same, division, competing for the same spot. And it's like, you can't help but to feel like, damn, you know what I mean? I missed the mark here. I mean, I got to try to do better, next time, or to beat this one next time, or, whatever, you build that up. But it is weird because, like you said, then at the same time, this guy could call me, 2 days later, you know what I mean? And we would have an hour and a half long conversation, and talk about the game, you know what I mean? And our videos and our channels and everything. And he's, 4 times as big as my channel, do you know what I mean? And we're talking like we could literally sit in front of each other and have beers and not care. But then there's times I watch a video of his and I'm just like, comparing myself to him, comparing this to, my video to his video. And then even sometimes building up that, like, if he was to call me then I would have been like, fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird how it works. It's really weird.
And like I said, and it's not even like you said, it's not that you're not friends. It's not that you're not competitors. It's just, I do think it's important to realize if you get into content creation, like it is a weird dynamic that is different than because most of the time when you have friends at work, it's people you actually work with for the same company. You have the same goal. You're building the same thing.
Right.
This, you're having 2 people that are friends that are competing with each other.
Go back to the paper. Go back to the paper company thing. You've got 2 paper companies, you know what I mean, that sell paper. You know what I mean? It's not the same as one paper company and 3 employees. Do you know what I mean? It's
And like I said, just because I do want to, like, again, like, these people are really, I don't want people to like think, it isn't all about competitiveness, but I'm just trying to express that there is that weird dynamic there that you got to deal with when it comes to becoming friends with other content creators and stuff, for sure.
Yep. And not only that too, just to shine some little bit of light here. We're here, close to the end of the podcast. And I mean, just to shine some light on here, I mean, with that competitiveness too, can also come out of, collaborations.
Yep.
You can easily build each other up. In ways you can even, which does happen, right now, at least for me anyways, with that said person, to give you an example. I mean, we share stuff all the time. We share tips, we share tricks, we share analytics, we share, practices, we share things all the time that we know technically in the world of business and competitors you would never see. Somebody doing something like that. You never see somebody from, go Best Buy calling up Amazon and be like, bro, listen, we just bought this product from this China company. It's selling like hotcakes. You could buy it, from the same company, sell it just like we do, make a bunch of money. Like, you would never see them doing that. That's
Yeah.
why.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, I think what it really is, like when people say, "Oh, it's it's not about competitiveness. It's not about competing with all the other." What they're really saying is, make some friends that do the same stuff as you, and then you guys work together and compete with all the rest of the
Yeah,
content
pretty
creators in
much.
the world.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Like
You're
don't compete with these couple. That way you have some people to help you and you help them, but then just compete with all the other content creators.
Yep.
I feel
Yep.
like that would be the more accurate statement.
Honestly, I just thought about the perfect picture. How you could explain this? The Olympics. It's exactly what it is. It's the Olympics. Everybody on the US team at some point in time competed against each other and against everybody else. It was a solo thing, right? They get to the Olympics. Now it's one full team, do you know what I mean? Competing against other individual people that were grouped up to then beat everybody else. That's
And they
literally
are still
what it is.
competing against themselves, but the
Right.
focus isn't on the individual.
It's
It's
on the
it doesn't
little bit
matter
of
if
the
the US
minority
gets
taking over the
1, 3, and
majority.
5, and Russia gets 2 and 4. As long as one of them got 1, it's like the US team won.
Exactly. But do you see what I'm saying? That's the perfect example. That's the perfect example is the Olympics. That's exactly how content creation, friendship / competitors are. It's exactly like that.
It is a weird dynamic. It is. So yeah, and so yeah, just to wrap up, I thought it would be fun to kind of go into some more just like personal questions of like, have you ever done this?
Oh yeah.
And stuff. And I did think it was fun. So haha, brain, I turned it around and did it. So fuck you.
Personally, I think the audience is going to enjoy it, man. Like I said, they've been, what episode is this now? They've been listening to our episodes for how long now?
Christ,
how long now? You know what I mean? Like, if they don't know who we are by now, do you know what I mean? Yeah, they're not going to know who we are.
True.
So,
but I do want to say before we, as we start to wrap up, we've touched on several things tonight that are things that you would that might bother you if you're trying to become a content creator. Maybe things you never thought about that maybe you can think about before you become a content creator, whatever. But at the end of the day, let's flip it around to the positive side, because at the end of the day, is there really anything else you'd rather be doing, Kodeations?
No. Nope.
Yeah, except for designing movie posters.
Correct. Yep. How do you remember this shit that I tell you?
I remember
on the personal DMs.
I remember everything. But in all seriousness, like, it's the same with any job. There's always going to be things you hate, even if something's your dream job. Don't think that that means everything's going to be perfect about it. There's going to be weird shit. There's going to be the dark side to it. At the end of the day, if you really love making content and doing it, you're going to do it anyways. Even if me and Kodation sat here all night and told you should never do content creation, it should never be what you do with your life. Fuck it. Don't do it. If you really want to do it, you're going to do it anyways. Hopefully what you actually take from this episode is just some things to watch out for. Some things to know, like, listen, it's normal to struggle with this stuff. It's normal to sit in the McDonald's while your kids are playing in a goddamn plaything and to be obsessed with your phone. It doesn't mean you should always do that. It doesn't mean you shouldn't attempt to better yourself and focus more of your attention on that stuff. It doesn't mean that you should actually be going out and competing with all your friend content creators and trying to one up them. It's just it's things to watch for, things to improve on, but at the same time to know, like, you're not alone. Like, there is shit when it comes to content creation. It is hard sometimes. It will require a lot of sacrifice to start any kind of business, whether it's content creation, whether it's a local coffee shop. It takes a lot of fucking work Be ready for it. Give it everything you got, because at the end of the day, when you're laying in your deathbed, you'll be able to say, like, hey, at least I fucking tried to do this. I also tried to love my family the best I could. I also tried to, or you can be laying in your deathbed and say, I wish I would have. I wish I would have. And there's no such thing as fucking balance. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There's waves. That's why I'm bringing it full circle, baby. There's waves. At the end of the day, there's going to be times your wife, your spouse, your friends, your whoever are going to come to you and say, I need some fucking time with you, man. Our relationship's not in a good place. Whatever.
Yep.
And you got to shift. You got to ride the wave. And you got to finally look at it and say, shit, I got to slow down here a bit, and I got to give this a bit more attention.
Yep.
And then when this is good again, you shift. It's shifting the attention, just like everything else. There's no actual balance. The balance is the wave. The balance is the fact that you have to actually do that. Balance everything.
Yep.
But there's never actually any perfect balance. It's not set and forget. So anyways, so I hope that's what everybody actually takes out of this, that I don't know. If you're chasing your dreams, it's always worth it, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much dark side there is to it. It's always worth it. I have zero regrets. I make mistakes as a dad. I make mistakes as a husband. I make mistakes against other content creator friends, and I apologize, and I move on, and I try to do better in the future. And again, if it's your dream, it's worth being willing to have those mess ups and to struggle with those hard things to try to reach a dream. Kodeations, any final parting words or anything to add to that, or just plug your shit?
Okay. The only thing that I'm going to say currently right now, D, we'll go ahead and let them know before we do plug our stuff and get out of here. We need to let them know about the absence of the podcast for the next couple of weeks, because we've got a lot of stuff going on with real life stuff. So anybody that's currently listening right now, we might not have any episodes posting for the next couple of weeks. Don't give up on the podcast. I promise we will be back with another episode. We're going to say in at least maybe a month at the maximum from now.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yep. Probably the month of June. There will, because I'll probably get this posted. We're recording it on the 25th of May for anybody that might care. So I'll probably get this posted, sometime here in the next, within the next week. So probably before June 1st. And then, the month of June, I will be pretty radio silent. And then we will probably be back. And that might mean, me and Kodeations might record one in June. It just probably won't come out till that first week of July or whatever, by the time I get back and get things edited for the podcast and we actually sit down and record it. So yeah, I would say expect probably about a full 4 weeks, because I will actually be gone for about 3 weeks. And then, I'll probably need a week of getting things re-rolling again. So I would say expect about a month of no air on the podcast, no new episodes. Again, as Kodeation says, 100%. This is not like we're not having midlife crises. We're not thinking about stopping the podcast. We're not. It's just literally a bunch of personal shit that has come up that got to be dealt with. But we will be back. I love doing these, as I was telling Mr. Kodeations. I look forward to them. I like the new format we're doing. I like the way we've kind of made some of the changes we've made personally. And so I will definitely 100% be looking to getting back into them when I do return. But now plug your shit.
Alrighty, everybody. If you were looking to follow me on any of the social media platforms or anything, you can visit Kodeations.com. On Kodeations.com, I do have all of my links to my social media platforms.
I got to interrupt. I have to.
What?
So I've been telling you to build a website forever. You finally built one. So of course, I've checked it out extensively.
What doesn't work?
No, everything works perfectly.
See, we're golden.
And I'm cracking on you a little bit just because I have to, but I also mean it. It does actually look good. But I even love the Instagram filter style photo of yourself on there. It's got like the lens flares. And it looks like the Instagram style.
100%.
And I mean this in the nicest way. Again, I actually do like it, and I think it looks well. but it reminded like that basic bitch. Like you got a Starbucks in your hand, basic bitch.
Hey, I am a basic bitch over here. I'm a basic bitch. So anybody out there listening to the podcast that wants to follow a basic bitch, head over to Kodeations.com. I've got all my social media platforms. My normal content that I do put out, just for anybody that is curious, I do a mobile gaming content. All right, so just keep that in mind. D, what is your socials? Or what would you want them to go to? Your website?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me up on the website, guys. OMG, it's Derek.com. As Kodeation says, I also have a basic bitch. A photo of me sitting on lighted steps that the wife took of me that I was like, I need a picture for my website. It has to look semi-professional. People won't take me seriously. So yeah. So and actually I was drinking a Starbucks coffee.
Yours is even worse than mine.
It is. But yeah, my website, OMG, it's Derek.com, has links to all my socials, everywhere you can find me on the interwebs. Literally, I literally think it has a link to everywhere I am on the internet. So whatever platform you prefer, you'll find me on there. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We say this at the end. Analytics from Squarespace says we got like 2,000 people subscribed to this podcast listening to it and shit. If you're one of them, like, reach out to us. I don't think we've heard from too many people, that I know it's a little different because, you guys are on a platform listening to this, that there are not things like comments and stuff on the platform. So which means you got to do that extra work of like actually going to our websites, finding one of our social pages, following us on there, commenting on there. So I get that it's a little more work, which I think is why we don't see as much interaction like we do with other things that we do on the internet. But I'm not 100% sure. It also could be that Squarespace just wants me to feel good about myself and they're lying bitches. I don't know. They're like, keep paying us your annual fee for hosting your website with us because you have subscribers.
Right. I guess at the end of the day, guys, what we really want to know is that if you do happen to make the conversion over to any of the social media platforms, just give us a shout out, whether it's in a live stream that you make it to, just say you're here from the podcast and a comment on the video. It doesn't matter. We would just like to see a little bit of, where exactly you guys are coming from or that you are made it to the other social platforms.
Yeah, it'd just be cool to connect with some people that are listening to podcasts and maybe you got feedback, maybe you got suggestions, maybe you just want to say I got the sexiest bald head you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I actually do get that a lot. So, I've just learned to accept it.
He's totally lying, by the way.
Actually, I'm not. Listen, so there's like two things. So number one, like the biggest thing like the biggest mean comment is, people come in my chat and be like, oh, you're fat. I'm like, okay, yeah, I like to eat. Like, fuck you. And then like the number one good thing is it's like you never know it. Like when you start streaming, you don't know how people react to you. But like the number one comment I always get all the time, like, and I don't know if it's a positive comment or not. I take it as a positive, but all the time is, wow, you have like the most perfectly round head and like it looks so good. And I'm like, okay, like it's like the weirdest. I remember the first couple of times it happened when I started streaming. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who goes and comments on somebody's head? Like, just, man, you got like the most perfectly round head. And then like, but it just kept happening. And finally, I'm just like, I got the most perfectly round head, I guess. Like, I don't fucking know.
That's so goofy. It is weird. Like, who does that? The thing that I always get is the beard. That's my biggest one. That's the one that I hear the most on mine, or at least my live streams. People will always come in there and they were like, oh my gosh, I love your beard. Oh my gosh, your beard. I love it. And I'm just kind of like, I feel like it looks like everybody else's beard.
I know.
Sure.
That's what
Whatever
like,
sounds good.
Like, I feel like I look like every other bald guy. I don't know.
Right? But... It's like, I mean, I have no hair. I mean, what's new? Yeah.
All right, guys. Love your faces. Find us somewhere. Say hi. Say what's up. Let us know you're a podcast listener. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.